Welcome back to the deep dive. We're doing something a little different today.
Yeah, a bit of a departure for us.
Usually we're digging into tech trends or history, but today we're looking at a tool, maybe the most powerful tool in the modern world.
And it's one that a lot of people have a complicated relationship with.
That's a good way to put it,
Yeah.
because most of you probably think of this tool as, I don't know, a torture device from high school.
It definitely has that reputation.
We were talking about learning English, but wait, before you skip ahead, because you have like PTSD from grammar tables, the research we're unpacking today argues for a total rebrand. It's saying that English isn't a subject you study, it's a global tool.
Exactly. And that distinction, when you look at the source material, is it's everything. If you treat English like it's chemistry, something you memorize for a test, you are completely missing the point.
So what is the point then?
The source describes it as a key, a literal key that opens doors.
To what?
To travel, to most of the internet, to global business. It's really about access, not about grades.
Okay, I get the key metaphor. It sounds nice, on a motivational poster.
It does.
But let's be real for a second. If you hand me a key to a Ferrari, I get in and I drive. If you hand me the key of the English language, I don't just drive.
No.
I stall. I crash into a tree. I completely embarrass myself.
That's a very vivid image.
But it's true, right? The sources acknowledge this. It's not just, here's a tool, have fun. It's actually painful.
It is painful, and that's really the starting point for this whole deep dive. The material we looked at is very explicit about the emotional side of it.
It's not just about the words.
Not at all. It's about that pit in your stomach, the fear, the shyness, the exhaustion of just forgetting words, and that feeling that maybe you just aren't smart enough.
That's the one. That is the feeling. When you're trying to say something simple like, I need a fork, and the word just isn't there, you don't feel like a student. You just feel stupid.
And our mission today is to look at a strategy that claims to fix that feeling. Not by memorizing more, but by dismantling what the source calls the perfection trap.
The perfection trap. Okay.
Yeah, we're trying to shift the goal from, say, academic rigor, which is what makes you feel stupid, to something more like simplicity and realism.
I'm skeptical, but you have my attention. Because simplicity sounds great, but languages are complicated. So where do we start with this? Why does it hurt so much?
The source uses an analogy that I think is brilliant. It compares learning English to learning how to walk again.
Okay, the baby analogy. We've heard this one before, right? Babies learn, adults struggle.
Stick with me, though. It's deeper than that. Picture a toddler. They curl themselves up on the coffee table.
Right. Shaky legs.
Their legs are super shaky. They take one step, they wobble, and bam, faceplant right into the carpet.
Right. And then what happens? Everyone claps.
Exactly. Everyone claps. The parents are thrilled. The baby might even laugh. Now, imagine you're in a boardroom. You stand up to give a presentation in English.
Okay.
You stumble on a word. You use the wrong tense. Does everyone clap?
No. It is dead silence.
Yeah.
And you want the floor to swallow you whole.
That is the difference. When the baby falls, we see it as part of the process. You can't learn to walk without falling. The source says that falling, making mistakes, isn't a sign you're dumb. It is the process.
But as adults, we've just lost the ability to separate making a mistake from being a failure.
Precisely. We take a grammar mistake as like a personal flaw, and that leads to the biggest enemy in this whole thing, perfectionism.
Which brings us back to the perfection trap.
Yes, and what the source calls the waiting room fallacy.
I like that term, the waiting room. What is that?
It's this place learners go where they decide, I will not speak until I'm ready. They're sitting in the lobby, they're studying, using apps, memorizing, just waiting.
Waiting for that magic day when they'll open their mouth and perfect English will just flow out. I feel very seen right now.
We've all been there. But the source is brutal here. That day never comes.
It's a mirage.
It's a complete mirage. If you wait until you're perfect, you will never use the language. Think about the baby again. What if the baby said, you know what, Mom? I'm going to study walking theory from my crib for a few years. I'll start when I can do it perfectly.
They never walk. They learn by doing it, by making a total mess.
Exactly. They learn by using, not by studying. So the whole strategy we're talking about is shifting from studying English to using English. And this is the key, even if you're using it badly.
Using it badly. Okay, that sounds terrifying. But let's get into the tactics. How do we do that without wanting to hide under a rock? Let's start with input, listening.
Step 1 is just daily immersion, listening every single day.
Okay, but isn't that just standard advice? watch movies, listen to podcasts. I've tried that. I just get lost and my brain shuts down.
It does, and the source actually explains why that happens. It talks about brain fatigue.
Oh, the headache. I know the headache.
It's a real physical thing. You listen for 20 minutes and your head just starts to throb. You feel drained. And most people take that as a sign that they're failing.
Right. My brain hurts. I must be doing it wrong. Time to stop.
But the advice here is to flip that completely. Brain fatigue is a good sign.
How is a headache a good sign?
It means your brain is working. It's forging new connections. It's like when your muscles burn at the gym. You don't think, oh no, I'm failing at lifting weights. You think, this is working.
Okay, reframing the headache as brain gains. I can get behind that. But what about just not understanding anything? Am I really learning if it's all just noise?
This is where the golden rule from the source comes in. Do not translate.
That feels impossible. My brain does it automatically. I hear a word, I translate it.
You have to try to fight that urge, because that's what causes the fatigue. That constant loop of input, translate, understand, translate, response, output. It's exhausting.
You're doing double the work.
Double the cognitive work. The goal is to just let the language wash over you. Even if you don't get every word, you're absorbing the rhythm, the intonation, the music of it.
So it's more about exposure, just letting it hit you.
Exactly. Let your subconscious brain do the work. Don't force it.
All right, so I'm listening, I'm embracing my brain games. Now for the part that really makes my palms sweat. Speaking.
Yeah.
The source calls this section Speak Without Fear, which, yeah, easier said than done.
It is the hardest part, without a doubt, because now you're adding social risk.
The fear of looking foolish or, incompetent. If I'm a professional and I'm speaking broken English, I feel like I lose all my credibility.
That's a very real fear. But think about the alternative. If you stay in that waiting room, you just stay silent forever.
True.
And the source gives a reality check here. Even native speakers make mistakes. We stumble, we say, we restart sentences all the time.
Sure, but it doesn't sound like we're just learning to talk.
No, but the goal of speaking isn't perfection. The goal is understanding. That is such a critical shift. If you say to me, Mia goes store buy paper, do I understand you?
Me goes store buy paper. Yeah, okay, I get it. But you sound like a caveman.
You sound like a caveman, absolutely. But did we solve the problem? Did you get the paper?
Yeah, I guess so.
Then you won. You used the tool successfully. We prioritize our ego over the function of the tool. We'd rather say nothing at all than risk saying, me go store.
So you're saying we need to lower our standards to functional caveman just to get started?
In the beginning, yes. The mantra from the source is literally, speak badly, speak slowly, just speak.
Speak badly. That is surprisingly liberating, actually. It's like giving yourself permission to suck.
Because you have to. You have to push through the bad versions to get to the good ones. You can't just skip the me go store phase of your development.
Okay, but what if I'm too shy for that? The source must have some advice for introverts, right?
It does. A big one is just talk to yourself.
Which is usually the first sign of madness.
Usually, yes. But here, it's a superpower. Just narrate what you're doing. I am making coffee. I am looking for my keys. Or record your voice on your phone.
Oh, nobody likes hearing their own voice recorded.
It's uncomfortable, but it makes the language real, It takes it out of your head. And a pro tip, if you're worried about looking strange, talking to yourself in public, just put in some earbuds.
And everyone will just think you're on a phone call.
Exactly.
That's a great tip. Okay, so we're speaking badly, listening till our heads hurt. How do we start organizing all this? Let's talk about vocabulary.
Right. Context versus lists. This is a big one. We've all made those flashcards. Opportunity equals chance.
Oh, yeah. I can see my stack of index cards right now.
The problem is your brain isn't a spreadsheet. It's a story machine. It's built to remember stories and situations, not these random, isolated facts.
Suppose it's the better way.
You never learn a word by itself. You learn it in a sentence. You don't memorize opportunity. You learn, this is a huge opportunity for my career.
And why does that stick better?
It has a hook. Your brain can see a career. It can feel the excitement. When you try to find that word later, you're not searching a file cabinet. You're pulling up the whole scene. It's why you can remember a song lyric from 20 years ago, but not a line from a textbook.
The context is the melody. That makes total sense. Okay, let's tackle the monster. Grammar.
Ah, yes.
The source has a take on grammar that I think a lot of people are going to find a little controversial.
It is a bit radical. It basically says, for now, ignore most of it.
Ignore grammar. How can you do that?
You don't ignore it forever, but you stop letting it paralyze you. The source suggests you just focus on what it calls the big three.
Which are?
Past, present, and future.
The basic tenses.
The simplest versions. Simple past, simple present, simple future. The argument is that with those three, you can communicate something like 90% of all human thought.
90%. I don't know if I buy that. What about all the complex stuff? Like, I would have been going to the store if...
Okay, let's test it. Give me a complicated sentence you might say.
Okay, I had been waiting for the bus for 20 minutes when I realized I had left my wallet at home.
Perfect. That's complicated. Now strip it down. Just use the big three. Past tense only.
I waited for the bus 20 minutes. Then I realized my wallet is at home.
Did you lose the essential meaning?
No, not really. It's choppy. It's not elegant. But the story's there.
Exactly. And that's the point. You got the story across. You weren't frozen trying to do mental gymnastics with verb conjugations. Fluency comes from speed and confidence first, not from complex structure.
So we're trading elegance for speed.
For now, yes. And the funny thing is, the more you just listen and read, that input phase we talked about, the more those complex structures just start to seep in naturally.
You learn it by feel, not by rule.
It becomes intuition, not calculation, and that's the dream.
It is. But getting there, that takes consistency. And that's where I think most people fall off. They start strong and then, life happens.
This is where the math of learning is so important. The source is very clear on this. Consistency will always beat intensity.
Meaning what, exactly?
It is far better to do 15 minutes every single day than to do 2 hours once a week on a Sunday.
See, I struggle with that. 15 minutes feels like nothing. It almost feels like a waste of time.
It's not, and here's why. Your brain works on a forgetting curve. If you cram for 2 hours on a Sunday, by next Saturday, you've forgotten almost all of it.
It's a binge and purge cycle.
Totally. You're just constantly refilling a leaky bucket. But 15 minutes a day keeps that language active in your brain. It tells your brain, hey, this is important. Pay attention to this every day.
So it's about integration, changing your phone language, listening on your commute.
Exactly, filling the cracks of your day. But there's a level deeper than that. This isn't just about habits. It's about identity.
Okay, let's talk about that, the identity shift. Because when I try to speak another language, I don't just feel like I'm using a tool. I feel like a fake.
That feeling of being a fake is actually a sign of growth. The source calls it developing a new voice.
A new voice.
Think about it. When you speak English, maybe you're a little more direct. Or your sense of humor is different because the jokes translate differently. You are, in effect, a slightly different person.
I've heard people say that they feel more logical in one language, more emotional in another.
And at first, that new person, that new voice, feels weak. It feels shallow. That's the fake feeling. But the source promises that if you stick with it, there's a milestone you'll hit.
The aha moment.
Yes. The moment you understand without translating, you just hear a sentence. And you don't hear words to decode. You just hear the idea directly.
That sounds almost like the Matrix, when the code just turns into the image.
It's a bit like that. It's when the language moves from your conscious calculating brain into your subconscious. And when that happens, you're not just learning English anymore.
You're living in it.
You're living in it. And you get to see the world through this entirely new filter. That's the real reward.
That is beautiful. It almost makes the Migo store phase seem worth it.
It is. But we have to remember one last thing, and the source ends on this point.
What's that?
There is no finish line.
That's a little terrifying.
Well, we think one day we'll get a certificate that says fluent, finished. But you never really finish. You just get more and more comfortable living in the language.
So for the listener who's thinking about starting again, what's the final piece of advice?
Be kind to yourself. If you understood one more sentence today than you did yesterday, that's a win. If you spoke for 1 minute, even if it was awful, that's a win. Perfection is the enemy. So just stop trying to be perfect.
You don't graduate from a language. You just live in it.
Exactly. The goal isn't to finish. The goal is to enjoy the journey. Enjoy the wobbling.
Enjoy the wobbling. I like that. All right, you have your mission, 15 minutes today. Speak badly. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.